Hello guys and welcome back to another Satisfactory guide, and today we're jumping in game to look a little more in depth at the layout when it comes to building a beautiful coal power plant in Satisfactory with underfed conveyors and pipes. Now this video is courtesy of Rob from Discord, who specifically asked me to go more in detail with these power generators. So if you do find this video helpful, please do drop a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, let's jump in. So first things first, let's look at the maths. Now a coal powered generator requires 15 coal per minute when it's at its peak production. Now this means a Mark 1 belt can run 4 coal generators. We then need to look at water consumption, which is 45 cubic meters of water per minute, and also note that the water extractor can produce 120 cubic meters of water per minute as well, which is only sufficient for 2 power plants with some water left over. Now, with 2 water extractors, we will actually have enough water for 5 power plants, but again, we'll have some water left over. But with 3 extractors, we will be able to cater for 8 coal power plants, give or take 20 cubic meters of water. And even better, we can run 8 power plants with a Mark II conveyor or higher. Now the drawback to this is that pipes can only hold a maximum of 300 cubic meters of water. Therefore, as we're producing 360 cubic meters of water, we will need to run 2 pipes, one running to the first few power plants, and then the second pipe will join the pipe later on, topping it up with enough water to provide for the remaining 3 power plants. Now in total, this setup will be able to provide 8 power generators with the resources to run at 100% clock speed. So with the maths out of the way, let's look at the actual build. Now for this build, we are going to run a single line of power plants and feed them from below. Now to start off, we're going to have to plan the factory. Now here you can see the build that we're actually going to be doing. Now this particular build requires no extra pumps, which is something that's really useful with a power plant build, and it consumes 120 coal per minute, providing a very modest 600 megawatts of power per row of power plants. And also note, after this video, we will be producing 1.2 gigawatts of energy from this power plant in total. Now, the total grid size for the extractors and the power plant will be 11 by 9 foundations. Now, if you're going to mirror this build the same way that I'm now doing, then you will need a total of 11 by 18 foundations. So for part 1, we shall place 11 foundations in a straight line, going back a total of 5 foundations. Now note that one row will be for the resource bus and manifold, and the other 4 for the power generators. Now at this point, note that I'm placing the foundations just under the surface of the water. Now this is because I shall be running a water extractor plant next door, and this is the aesthetic that I want. Now after you've placed the 5 rows of 11 foundations, we will then raise the height of the power plant section by 1.5 large foundations. And just so you know, the power plant section is the 4 foundations at the back. Now we shall place foundations along the water for the extractors. This is at water level, but you will need to place 4 foundations along the first column, followed by another 10 foundations along the row. Now note, you will need a 3 by 3 space free of foundations between this row and the bus line. Now we will then place a column of 3 foundations, followed by another 3 by 3 empty space in the water, and then one last column of 3 foundations. And then after that, we will have a further empty space of 3x3 foundations, but don't worry about that just yet. So far, your power plant should be looking a bit like this. Now from here, we shall place a wall along the furthest lifted foundation edge where the power generators will be, and this is to make the generator placement easier. Now place 8 generators in a row, one stop from the edge. Next, we will need to place the splitters for the coal along the bus below. Now the splitters should be placed directly in the center of the foundation, and you may want to check at this point that the elevators can reach the power plants. Just make sure that the outputs are in line with the coal power plant's inputs. Once done, check by running the elevator from the power plant down to the splitter. Now, if all is good, connect all the splitters together with a Mark II or higher conveyor, and note you will only need a Mark I elevator to lift the items up into the power plant. Now part 2 focuses on the extractors. Now at this point you need to be very careful placing the extractors in the 3x3 spaces. It can be very delicate and difficult to do. Now I tried to get them as close to 2 of the edges for each of these. Notice that the first extractor and the second extractor are both facing one another, and as close as possible placed by eye so that the outputs are facing one another as well. Now place the final extractor behind facing the middle extractor. And once this is done, place a quarter foundation above one of the current submerged foundations. Now at this point, we're going to run the walkways around and as close to the extractors as possible. Now also run walkways in between the extractors, as well as later on these will become the sections that we're going to be using for the ramps to get you from the power generators down to the extractors. Now for part 3, we will need to run the pipes. Start by placing a pipe pole 2 places high at the end of the foundations in the middle of the 2 extractors. Then run a pipe to the other side, and note that we are using the vertical pipe mode, which can be selected by holding R whilst having pipe selected. Now from here, place a junction in the middle where the 2 extractors are facing and connect their outputs to the joint. Now from here, we will run the pipe around the outside of the walkways to the bus. Now from here, run the pipe over the bus and offset by 1 place. Now run this fully along the length of the bus, and once done, add joints directly below the power plant's water inputs, and these joints should be placed horizontally. Now finally, connect all the power plant's water inputs to the manifold pipe. Now part 4 focuses on the pipes for the third and final extractor. Now you will want to do the same as before, however raise the piping above the first pipe. Now this will run along the bus above the first pipe until the joints of the 5th power plant. Now from here you will need to place a diagonal pipe joint along the first pipe just above the 5th power plant's splitter. Now once done, connect the second pipe to the first pipe. Now part 5 focuses on running walls behind the power plants so that you can connect the generators to a powered wall joint, and then a pole in the corner. Next, run walkways along the side of the power plants. Now you can do this how you wish, however I have done the majority of the walkways at generator height too wide. Don't forget at this point to connect the generator walkway with ramps down to the extractors, then connect the generator's power pole with a pole in the corner of the walkways by the generators, and then run this power pole down along the walkways next to the extractors and connect them together on the same grid. Now lastly, delete the foundations beneath the water, along the bus and around the outside of the walkways by the extractors to give it this cool aesthetic. Now lastly, we're going to use the diagonal foundations to place them underneath the water extractors, and we're going to place 2 per foundation spot so that they turn out to be a flat foundation. Once you've covered in the 3 wide, 3 high border around the extractors, we're then going to delete the foundations beneath the water along the bus and around the outside of the walkways by the extractors to give it this clean, cool aesthetic. And there you have it. Now once power is connected and coal running, you'll be able to run the power generators, which can be easily expanded like you've just seen here, doubling your power capacity. So I only did 1 row in this video, but I already had 1 before. It's really easy to set up and expand, which is the most important thing when it comes to building generators like this. Now if you did enjoy this video, please guys do drop a thumbs up. It just helps my videos get out there and help other people who need this help find the videos. And also if you want to see more videos like this and haven't already, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now also, let me know what you think of this generator layout, and if you have a style you prefer, send me a couple of screenshots on Discord, the link is below, and perhaps I'll cover them in our next factory or generator layout. Anyway guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, ciao for now.